Minecraft trees suck. They suck. Look at this tree. It's awful. It's bad. I wouldn't even call this a tree. So how do we go and build our own custom trees without making it look just like this? Well, today in this video, I'm going to show you how I build my own custom trees along with the shading, texturing, proportions, and all that. So yeah, let's go. Before we begin though, we need to decide on what type of tree we are trying to build. There's about 73,000 species of trees on Earth, and if you're trying to imitate or replicate one in Minecraft, make sure you got the right blocks, colors, etc. In this case, I'm going to be building a birch tree. Excuse me. I'm going to be building a birch tree because I think birch is underappreciated and oak gets all the spotlight anyways. So make sure you got an idea of what type of tree you're building, get the colors, get the blocks, put a palette down, and get ready to build. So here I've laid down my palette for the build. I'm using birch wood, diorite walls, diorite stairs, calcite, diorite slabs, iron trapdoors, and white stained glass paints. Now again, this will be different for you depending on the type of tree you're building. Because I'm building a birch tree, these are the colors, the tones I'm using. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Now one thing I want to talk about quickly is the use of walls. When building your branches, it's heavily advised by me to use thinner blocks like walls or fences, fence gates even. So make sure you have a wall in there that matches the tone or color of the rest of your tree. So obviously we are going to start with building the trunk and the base of the tree. So because birch trees are pretty tall and thin, I'm going to try and mimic that in Minecraft. So what I'm going to do is mark out the height I want for this tree to be, or the trunk at least. I think that's a pretty good height for it. And now I'm going to texture it. So using my different blocks, diorite, calcite, all those, I'm just going to texture it. I'm going to be simple, just put a bit of diorite in there. And that looks fine. So there's our base of the tree. So yeah, keep in mind how tall you want the tree to be and make sure you make the base appropriate to the size. Now let's work on the bottom of the base of the tree. So some trees, they have roots coming out and I want to kind of mimic that. So I'm going to add a bit of thickness to the base of the tree to give it that more grounded feeling, and using slabs and trapdoors. I'm going to use these blocks like this to mimic how the roots are coming out of the ground a bit and spreading across the floor. So there you go. There's the base of our tree. Next, let's start work on the branches. So when building the branches, you want to make sure that you're using different thicknesses and sizes compared to the trunk. So using my walls, stairs, trapdoors, and slabs, I'm going to be doing just that. Now, I know building the branches is probably the most difficult part of this entire process, but again, this is trial and error. So if you don't like something you see, you build, you can always remove it, come back to it later, you can change it. So I'm going to be putting this into a time lapse and I'll walk you through how I build my branches. As I start to work on the branches, you might notice I start off with stairs and slabs first and slowly transition to walls as I go up the tree. This just helps maintain different shapes and gives the branches a variety of forms. When you're making your branches, make sure you don't add too many just so you have room for the leaves, and don't worry too much about how it looks just because we're trying to get a rough shape. A few things to keep in mind are making sure your branches aren't all uniform, using the variety of blocks in your palette, and not making your branches too tall, thick, or long to the point where it looks bad. Now, another thing that's super important to remember is to view your tree from every angle. The reason for this is so that your tree doesn't look too flat from one side and fine from another. You want to be able to keep a consistent shape from every angle you view from. To keep it from looking too flat, include diagonal branches and work around the tree. So I ended the time lapse a bit early just to show you why it's so important to build around the tree and make sure you're viewing your tree from every angle. So as you can see here, this tree is very uneven. Most of the branches have been like pushed towards the back. I don't know why I did that. This wasn't on purpose. I just forgot to do the front, I guess. So even from this angle too, most of the branches are over here. So we need to balance this out. And yeah, it's just super important to make sure you view your tree from every angle, making sure that it's not uneven, if that makes sense. Of course, the tree is going to be uneven, but you don't want most or the majority of the branches on one side of the tree because that just makes it look bad. And when you place the leaves on, it's going to become really, really weird when you view from one angle, or just look flat from the side as well. From the front, it might look fine, but from the side, it'll look off. So all we're doing here is just placing a few more walls. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I know, like, the way I build trees, it isn't perfect. None of this is, like, the best way to do it. I know it isn't, but this is how I build it. And you don't have to get the branches perfect, Like here, it's still okay. This is fine. There's still like a gap in the middle, but all we're trying to do is just get the shape down, because most of the shape, actually, yeah, all of the shape, to be honest, is going to be based on the leaves that we put on. So, you know, this looks all right. I mean, it's not amazing, but we can fix it later. And there you go. There's our shape, I guess. So yeah, I use slabs here at the beginning with stairs, trapdoors around the side a bit, and at the top, just walls. So now it isn't completely awful. I mean, yeah, it's still pretty bad. Let me just remove some. uh, you know what? This is fine. We can make this work. So yeah, let's move on to placing the leaves. Before we continue though, I need to make a little confession. I use mods like WorldEdit and Axiom that help me speed up the process of building in Minecraft, and for this video I'm also going to be using that just because I'm super lazy, but that isn't to say that you can do this. You can't do this with hand, sorry. You can do this with hand, it just takes a bit more time and I can't be asked because I'm lazy. So yeah, I'm going to be using Axiom primarily. WorldEdit's good. If you haven't used those mods, by the way, I do recommend them. It's super fun to use, and yeah, so my bad. I'll do some of it by hand, but most of it will be with Axiom. Yeah. In this time lapse, all I'm doing is placing leaves using the shape brush with Axiom on top of the branches I've already made. If you were to do this by hand though, make sure you're placing your leaves in a spherical shape, because that gives the most volume, which is something you want if you're trying to make your tree look full. Also, I see a lot of people leaving air spaces in between their leaves, which is a good idea if you want to make it look less solid. I don't actually do it that much, but it's a great idea nevertheless. I just want to say that this also isn't the final product. After this, I always go back and tweak it by hand to fix little details. If you are using Axiom though, use the shape tool, set it to sphere, and change the diameter to your liking. In this case, I use between 4 and 6, depending on where I'm placing the leaves. Just make sure you don't go overboard with it. It's very easy to get carried away and spam everywhere. I also forgot to talk about the choice of leaves. Just for this, I'm using birch leaves as a base, but I'm going to go over it, texturing and shading it later, so don't worry too much about the leaves you're using. Okay, so we've got the leaves down. Now this tree looks pretty bad. I mean, still it looks a bit weird, but don't worry, it's going to all come together soon. All we're going to do now is fix the little details that I think need fixing, like this, and like remove some of the branches that are sticking out because they contrast quite a lot with the rest of the tree. So I'm gonna cut back and I'll show you what the difference looks like. So yeah. So I fixed it a bit. I just removed some areas that looked off, and I deleted some of the branches that were coming out of the tree, and I think it just looks way better now. Now it looks like a tree. I think we got that little speck of leaves over there. Just give it some distance from the rest of the build, and I fixed that part sticking out, and I rounded the entire thing, making it look a bit more bubbly. So yeah, that's all you need to do really. Just remove the areas that don't look fitting for the rest of the tree, and now we can move on to detailing. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. First, we're gonna shade the tree. So here I've built a tree quickly. It's not the best. It's a bit, it looks like a mushroom bit, but whatever. It's just to show you how to shade. All we're gonna get are the blocks that we're gonna use for our gradient. So in this case, I'm using moss, birch, and azalea. Because I made this out of azalea, we're not going to use this much, but these two, just to show the darker areas and lighter areas. And I always start with the shadows first. So you see where the leaves overlap, that's where we can add the shadows. So like underneath here, maybe here a bit. Don't always do too much, but just a bit is nice. Here, let's go under here a bit. Now, it's important to add, yeah, like this. That's nice. You can always go deeper as well. You can use depth and color to make more shadows, but something like that's fine. Also, I just want to talk about the particles a bit. they look really cool. I like this new update. But yeah, just using birch to create shadows works really well. You can use other types of leaves. I think spruce is also kind of dark. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it is pretty dark. It's a bit too dark, and the green's a bit. Actually, that works kind of well. But yeah, just make sure you got a darker leaf color, or even a darker block even. I've seen a few people use not just leaves to shade, but, you know, different colors, different color blocks. But just something like that. Make it pretty light. It doesn't have to be too too heavy on the shadows. Like this is good, this is fine. And then after you've done that, mix in your moss block. I love the moss block, you can do so much with it. I like to have the moss block underneath the leaves actually, a bit. Sometimes it's nice to border the darker shadows as well. So you can have it on top. And they mix really well with Azalea, so make sure you got these two as a combo. They work well. Something here maybe. And one here. There's nothing wrong with doing it underneath. Because it's a solid block, it feels a bit more thicker, I guess, so it's fine to have it underneath. Right here I've seen a place we can put birch here as well. Just go, it's a bit random, but think about where the light will be hitting. At the top here, I want the azalea to be mostly there. I can have a few patches of moss as well. Now, a few people I've seen like to put grass on top of their trees. Now, I don't do that just because I think the textures clash a bit, but it's definitely an option if you're trying to add more texture to your trees, but you know, there's an idea. So here we've pretty much textured it a bit. It looks way better than before, but that's how you texture it. So that's what we're going to do on our birch tree. So I've gone ahead and I've already shaded the entire tree and it's done. So that's how you build a tree. I've also added a few little details that really tie in the entire build together, like a beehive, and I forgot to use the white stained glass, but they're really good when trying to make a slope, like a steeper slope. You can go with a block, a wall, and sorry, not a fence, a glass pane, which yeah, it creates that little slope, which is nice. I like it. But you can also use fences if you don't have glass. But yeah, here's the final product. It's pretty nice. This isn't the best tree I've made, 100%. It's not, and it's not the best way of making it either. There's definitely a better way of making a better tree, but that's just how I do it. And I think it didn't turn out awful. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So yeah. So that is how I build trees in Minecraft. Yeah, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, leave a comment down below if you think you can do better. You probably can, to be honest, but you know, just want to say that I am back. I'm back from retirement. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm not dead. If you didn't see my post, on the 10th of May, I will be live streaming on Twitch and YouTube with a bunch of other creators to work on a massive community day project on a server called Build School. So if you want to come and say hi, you're more than welcome to. It will be from 12 noon CST time to midnight, I think. I don't know if I'll be streaming the whole time, but you know, I might, so come say hi. Yeah, thank you for the patience. I'm back though. Look out for a video next week.